I am the course leader here at the University of Worcester for the foundation degree in child and adolescent mental health. So I teach a range of lovely students who are really passionate about working with children and young people in a way that's going to look at their overall well-being. And we're a foundation degree, so we're a degree for students that perhaps didn't have maybe the traditional route to education, perhaps didn't get on with school or college in the same way that other people did. But that doesn't mean that they're not great students, because they've got loads of passion and they're really keen to work with children and young people. Yeah, it's quite wobbly and long-winded. So my professional background is I'm a qualified youth and community worker. And I got into that by becoming a rural youth worker, supporting young people who lived in rural areas, particularly in Worcestershire. Obviously, there's lots of rural areas. And I was working with young people to try and support them with things like mental health and well-being, drug and alcohol advice on healthy relationships. And I still didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I just knew I really, really, really wanted to work with people. So that was kind of where I was at. And I started doing more youth work jobs, and then I realised that there was a degree in youth and community. And although I was a little bit older, so I think I went in my very early 20s, I came and did my degree here. So I supported our looked after children and young people in care and our care leavers, and I became the youth voice development worker for Worcestershire. So my main role was to go around and talk to and spend time with just amazing children and young people, listen to what they have to say, listen to what's important to them, and support them to be heard by adults. So I did that for around 10 years, and that was incredible. But I sort of thought, I want to do more. I still want to do more. I think learning is quite addictive. So I did a master's in transformative practice, which is kind of about thinking about us as a person, what skills we have, and how we can use them to help people in the best way. And while I was doing that, I realised I really liked sharing what I did, and I was so passionate. I wanted to tell everybody about how awesome it is to work with children and young people, even if they weren't sure what they wanted to do, and that's how I got into teaching. So my teaching is all based on my experiences as a professional, working in youth centres, in schools, residential children homes, community settings, places like that.
My name's 𝗽𝗲𝗿𝘀cie and I work at the University of Worcester. I work in the Department for Children and Families, which is part of the School of Education. And I'm the course leader for the BA Honours Integrated Working with Children and Families course. But I teach across all sorts of courses in the Department for Children. So I teach on foundation degree, the full 3-year degree, the masters, all sorts of things. Yes, well, as far as I can remember, I've always wanted to work with children. I always knew that was what I wanted to do. So, so when I left school, I went to college and studied for the NNEB for 2 years, which that course doesn't exist now, but it's a level 3 early years practitioner course. So I did that, and then I had 20 years working in loads of different jobs with young children. So I started off as a nanny for a family. I was a childminder, which worked brilliantly when my children were little, because I could stay at home and just have a couple of extras. I worked in special school, in primary schools, preschools and nurseries. I worked as a development officer, advising nurseries on adapting their provision for children with special needs. So yeah, all sorts of things really. Managed an after-school club. Mostly I worked in primary school. So there was a lovely primary school that I worked in for 11 years, which I absolutely loved. And then eventually just felt like I wanted to do more. So I did some extra training. I did some extra training in the evening so that I could teach adults. And I started doing a little bit of teaching and assessing of childcare students. So students that were on the same sort of course that I'd done. And from there I went to work at a college, an FE college, and then to University of Worcester, where I work now, and I've been here for 10 years. So I didn't actually do any extra qualifications till I was in my 40s. So I think age 40 I did my degree, my BA, and then Masters, and I've just passed my PhD. So it's, it's definitely addictive learning. Once you start, you want to just keep going.
My typical week is preparing and planning lectures, and to do that you need to be able to make sure your knowledge is up to date. So I do a lot of reading academic journals, meeting and talking to colleagues, watching documentaries, listening to podcasts, those kind of things. Then planning the teaching, so thinking about what is the message that I want to give, who's in the classroom, and how can I best get this across. So it's a mixture of working at your desk, meeting lots of colleagues, teaching in the classroom, which can be as dynamic as you want it to be. You don't have to kind of just be stood at the front and talking. You can do workshops and seminars and activities. But as a lecturer, I think it's important for my knowledge to be up to date, so I still go and work in a social and emotional behavioural school with children and young people, so that I can make sure that I'm still know what I'm talking about and know what I'm doing. So I also do that in the week as well.
I love my job. This is the best job in the world. A lot of my work is online teaching. I teach the course that I lead is an online course blended with some face-to-face teaching. So I might do some teaching in the classroom, but then I do some teaching online as well. So students can sit at home and join in the lesson like that, which is really exciting. So a lot of time teaching, a lot of time planning and preparing, finding resources, marking, of course, marking assignments and assessments, research. So all of the staff on the courses, who teach on the courses here, all have backgrounds in working with children. So we kind of draw on each other's experience to teach the students. So they're being taught by people that have been in the job for a long time, which is nice.
Yeah, my advice is, if you know that you want to work with children and young people, even if you're not sure, just go for it. So either apply for a course that interests you, that makes you curious and makes you feel motivated, or start volunteering. You know, you can start volunteering earlier before you know what courses you want to do. And if you've got that passion and interest, then it's definitely a career that you can get into, and it's so broad that you can take it lots of different places.
I think it's important to just have a go at everything and have a look at everything and see what's out there, because there are so many different sorts of jobs. You know, you can go into the healthcare sector working with children, or education, or social care, or youth work. There are lots and lots of different, wherever there are children, there are courses to work with children. So yeah, my advice would be to have a look at everything. Go to open days, go to college and university open days, see what's out there, and then when you've got all the information, you can make a choice. But also, the important thing to note is that once you choose a course or choose a career, you can move. You know, people go from one job to the other, so you might start off as you're working in a school, and then you might decide to go and work in a hospital as a play worker for a while, or you might go into family support. There are all sorts of things that you can move on to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a lot of courses at lots of universities. For example, here at the University of Worcester, we have courses that focus on working with children and young people in education, children's nursing. We also have things like occupational therapy that work with children and young people. We've got child and adolescent mental health, foundation degrees and top-ups, and there's probably many, many, many more. What I'd recommend is using search functions on university websites and typing in children or young people, and then you'll get the full range.
From school, There are lots of college courses, level 2 and level 3 courses, depending on your results from school that you can choose from. And then there are foundation degrees and HNDs. After your degree, there are masters, there are PhDs, you can go on and on and on. But there are all sorts of courses here. There are courses where you can work and study at the same time. There are full-time courses that you can study here. So yeah, once again, just look at all the options because there are lots out there.
That's a really interesting question. What is life like at the University of Worcester? So from the students that I talk to, it's a really warm, welcoming university. We're quite a small university, so people do kind of get to know each other, I think. Do you think that's...
Yeah, and it's beautiful. There are trees everywhere, squirrels running around.
And we've got the privilege of having a really diverse group of students. So we've got students that have come straight from college. We've got students that have they've been in practice, so maybe they're working as a TA in a school or a support worker, or perhaps they're working in a children's home and they come onto our courses. We've got loads of different class sizes. Some classes we have 150 students in the big lecture theatres.
Oh, now on my courses they're all very small groups, so it depends on which course you're doing. So I tend to have groups of about 20. Yeah. So yeah, all different. I know if you do nursing, then you're likely to be in a big lecture theatre with lots of students. So it varies from course to course. But students mainly comment on really good support, don't they, here? So good support from staff. It is a very friendly place.
It is, and I think, yeah, you're right. We pride ourselves on looking after our students, and that's the kind of feedback we get. And I have to say, with the types of courses that we're doing, where you're working with children and young people or families, wherever that is, the employment rates are really good from our university. So students that get a degree with us, we will phone them 2 years later and find out what they're doing, and lots of them are in their job because they've got the degree here and they've been able to put it to use and use it well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think on my course, for example, we have a 98% employment rate and success rate on the course. So yeah, we really do everything we can to support our students to succeed. We want everyone to succeed and to end up in a job that they love, making a difference.
And I think our students would say as well that they do have to work hard. They have to put the effort in. There is a lot of independent learning to do, reading. You know, they are going to develop and skill up and have new ideas and try new things. So, but in a safe space.
That's probably the biggest difference between school and higher education. So you won't have someone saying you need to do that piece of work by Wednesday and hand it in. You'll have an assignment and you will have to organise your time and get things done. So it's much more independent, but with support too.
Yeah. It's a great place to come and learn at the University of Worcester.
We love it.
I'm not being paid for this, but I did do my undergraduate degree here, and then I did my master's here, and then I also did my teaching PG cert qualification here as well. I just never left because I do love it so much.
Yeah.